Growing up in the 1970s, Britain was like living in an entirely different universe compared to today. From roaming free without mobile phones to recording songs off the radio with split-second timing, the 70s shaped a generation in ways that seem unbelievable now. Picture this: children disappearing at dawn, returning at dusk, penny sweets lasting all afternoon, and missing your favourite show meant waiting a year for repeats. But here's the shocking truth. Despite having no modern technology or safety measures, this might have been the happiest, most creative generation Britain ever produced. The freedom and dangers of 70s childhood created experiences so formative that 40 years later, we still measure every childhood against it. Remember when summer holidays meant disappearing after breakfast with a jam sandwich and not returning until streetlights flickered on? In the 70s, British children ruled the streets, creating civilizations in woods and derelict buildings that would horrify today's parents. We built death-trap rope swings, elaborate dens from stolen pallets, and played British Bulldog on concrete. The shocking reality: parents had no idea where we were for 8 hours straight. No phones, no trackers, just be back for tea. We navigated by church bells and factory whistles, learned which dogs bit, which gardens had scrumpable apples, and which adults would clip you round the ear. Woods weren't sanitized nature reserves, but wild places, teaching genuine independence. We built fires, identified edible berries, sometimes wrongly, resulting in spectacular stomach aches, and learned survival skills no app could teach. This freedom created resilience, creativity, and problem-solving abilities that modern bubble-wrap childhoods can't replicate. We weren't supervised, monitored, or protected. We were trusted to survive, and somehow we did. The 70s revolutionized global music forever, with Britain leading the charge. Bowie killed Ziggy Stardust at Hammersmith Odeon on 3 July 1973. Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon spent 741 weeks on charts while Zeppelin conquered America. But here's what streaming generations miss. We discovered bands through crackling Radio Luxembourg on 208 meters medium wave, fighting interference for the latest sounds. When the Sex Pistols swore on Bill Grundy's show 1 December 1976, the Daily Mirror screamed, "The filth and the fury." It changed British culture overnight. We hid records like Contraband, saved dinner money for weeks to afford one £2.99 album, genuinely believing music could topple governments. The first Glastonbury, 1970, was free, attended by 1,500 hippies getting milk from Evis's farm. Mark Bolan died in 1977, leaving glam orphaned, while punk exploded from the 100 Club. Every genre was being invented simultaneously: prog, punk, glam, heavy metal, ska, new wave. This wasn't just music, it was revolution broadcast at 33 1/3 RPM. If you're remembering your own 70s childhood right now, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because we're about to dive deep into memories you forgot you had. Coming up, I'll reveal the one 70s childhood activity that would definitely land parents in prison today, plus the sweet that cost half a penny but could strip paint. At precisely 5:30 p.m, British families performed a daily miracle. Everyone sat together for dinner. No phones, tablets, or separate meals, just forced togetherness around one table. Telly off, even during crossroads, eating whatever was served or going hungry. These weren't gastro-pub offerings. Grey mints of uncertain origin, vegetables boiled to surrender, butterscotch angel delight if you cleared your plate. But this ritual taught invaluable lessons: conversational combat, cast iron stomachs, and that adults were boring when discussing electricity bills. Dad lectured about the 3-day week while attacking liver. Mum dissected neighbours while serving spotted dick. Kids hid sprouts under cutlery. Those one-pot wonders, Lancashire hot pot stretching meat with potatoes, unrecognisable shepherd's pie, Bisto drowned toad in the hole, weren't just economical during 24.2% inflation, 1975, they trapped families together. No escaping to bedrooms, too cold. Everyone gathered around the 3-bar heater afterwards. This forced interaction created communication skills, patience, and family bonds that today's scattered mealtimes can't replicate. Taping songs required ninja reflexes and acceptance that DJs were sworn enemies. Sunday evenings, millions of teenagers sat poised over cassette recorders, fingers hovering over played down record, awaiting the top 40. Pure rage when Tony Blackburn talked over Bohemian Rhapsody's intro. We spent hours crafting C90 mixtapes on TDK cassettes, using microscopic handwriting on tiny J cards. Creating mixtapes was basically proposing marriage. Hours of dedication, suffering through David Soul for Blondie, tactical planning worthy of generals. Sound quality degraded with each copy. 4th-generation tapes sounded underwater. But every hiss and DJ interruption made them unique. Good compilations secured 3 Mars bars in playground black markets. John Peel session tapes marked you as properly alternative. We were all pirates violating copyright, but the industry was counting album profits. Those tapes became currency, love letters, life soundtracks. The ritual taught patience, timing, and that the best things required effort. Modern playlist creation lacks the investment, anticipation, and sheer fury when DJs ruined perfect recordings with their hilarious observations. Entering the corner shop with 10 pence made you confectionery royalty. Glass jars lined shelves like alchemical potions. Blackjacks and fruit salads, halfpenny each. Bazooka Joe with unfunny comics. Sherbet-filled flying saucers, chalk-flavoured white mice. Shopkeepers endured our deliberations. 2 blackjacks? No, 3, actually 2 and a refresher. Mathematical skills flourished calculating maximum hauls within budget while leaving Jubilee money. These sweets contained E numbers now classified as hazardous, tartrazine, E102, created unnatural yellows, carmosine, E122, produced impossible reds, sunset yellow E110, caused hyperactivity, refreshers malic acid stripped enamel, spangles sliced tongues, space dust, UK launch 1975, came with explosion myths. Yet we survived chemical warfare disguised as treats, learning budgeting and negotiation. The corner shop taught economics through sugar rushes, supply, demand, and that 4 mojos cost 2 pence. But satisfaction was priceless. Modern sanitized sweets lacked danger, excitement, and the genuine risk that your teeth might dissolve. Those penny sweets weren't just confectionery, they were rites of passage wrapped in suspicious colourings. British seaside holidays epitomised triumph of hope over meteorological reality. Paradise was a damp caravan in Great Yarmouth, or a Bournemouth B&B where landladies suspected criminal intent. Journey Purgatory involved Dad's embassy smoke, Mum's upside-down AA Atlas, an inevitable travel sickness after Newport Pagnell. Coastal pleasures included 20-pence donkey rides on depressed equines, dissolving candy floss, and penny arcades accepting actual pennies. Sea temperatures rarely exceeded 15 degrees Celsius. Beaches offered sharp pebbles or sand mixed with cigarette butts. Fish and chips in newspaper, banned 1980, were consumed in concrete windbreaks offering zero protection. By 1975, Butlin struggled as £65 Benidorm packages started British Seaside's death. Yet we treasured our Bognor weeks, talent contests we'd never win, psychologically scarring knobbly knees competitions, and sunburn from 3 hours of unexpected sunshine. The seaside taught us that happiness didn't require perfection, that making the best of things was properly British, and that hypothermia built character. Those weren't holidays, they were endurance tests disguised as entertainment. The GPO model, 746 telephone, a 2.8 kilogram Bakelite beast, dominated hallways like demanding pets. Introduced 1967, colours range from boring black to lacquer red clashing with everything. Extra rental for colours meant most chose black. Located in freezing hallways, phones demanded financial reverence. STD calls were expensive, international calls required mortgages. Dialing required physical effort, numbers with nines and zeros provided workouts. Mistakes meant starting over, creating innovative swearing. The privileged owned trim phones, 1973, with buttons and electronic rings sounding like malfunctioning robots. Lost with modern phones was communication's weight, literally. That handset meant business. Romance required surviving Mr. Patterson's job prospect interrogation before reaching Susan. Conversations had structure because freezing hallways and Dad's Timex timing ensured brevity. Privacy was non-existent. Families heard everything, creating a generation speaking in code and Olympic-level whispering. The phone wasn't just communication, it was furniture, investment, and the family gathering point. Every call mattered because effort was required. Today's casual communication lost something when phones became portable. K6 red boxes, designed by Sir Giles Gilbert Scott, 1935, served as offices, shelters, and occasionally toilets for British youth. Post-decimalisation calls cost 2p minimum, requiring strategic coin collection. Calls demanded preparation, correct change, strong stomach. Handsets were biohazard zones. Ability to convey urgency before money expired. The process was dramatic. Insert coins, dial, wait, then press button A to connect or button B for refunds. Experienced users checked button B first for forgotten refunds. Rapid pips created Pavlovian panic while shoving 10p pieces and shouting abbreviated messages. Each box had characteristics. Woolworths ate money. The station box advertised French lessons. The school box was creatively vandalised. Reverse charge calls were art forms, conveying location between operator asking and parents refusing. Despite squalor, boxes were teenage lifelines for arranging meetings and conducting relationships away from parental ears. That heavy door closing gave temporary autonomy, even standing in unspeakable substances while declaring love. Phone boxes taught resourcefulness, communication efficiency, and that privacy was worth any smell. 70s children's television occupied the sweet spot between educational and unhinged. The Wombles taught recycling before it was trendy. Those 6-foot creatures wandering Wimbledon Common would trigger police responses today. Magic Roundabout's Eric Thompson ignored French scripts, creating surreal masterpieces. Bagpuss ran just 13 episodes but achieved immortality. Emily's Shop never had customers, raising business model questions. Mr. Ben's suited man changing clothes for adventures would trigger safeguarding concerns now. Playschool offered choice illusions through windows. Crystal Tips and Alistair was created as a bet about making successful shows without dialogue. Fingerbobs featured disembodied hand Yoffie, pure nightmare fuel. The test cards Carol, Hersey and Clown Bubbles appeared in 70,000 Hours in the Century, becoming TV's most broadcast image, terrorising children awaiting programmes. These shows assumed children possessed imagination, patience and robust psychological constitutions. No focus groups sanitised content, no educational consultants inserted learning outcomes. Creators trusted children to find meaning in surreal imagery, cope with existential anxiety, and develop creativity through confusion. Shoot! Launched 1969, arrived Tuesdays Like Scripture, while Match, 1979, and Roy of the Rovers completed football's Holy Trinity. For 20p, you received fiction disguised as transfer news, phone interviews presented as exclusive access, and vital centre spreads for bedroom walls. These weren't just magazines, but time capsules of recognisable football. First Division players earned £200 to £300 weekly. Keegan got £250 at Liverpool, making them wealthy but not untouchable. They lived in semis, drank in locals, signed autographs outside grounds. Magazines revealed now unthinkable details. Charlie George's steak preference, Osgood's embassy ritual, Stan Bowles' betting disasters. League ladders became religious artefacts updated every Saturday tea time. You Are the Ref prepared us for moral dilemmas we'd never face. Panini's 1978 UK launch created sticker economics where Gary Bailey was rarer than platinum. These magazines didn't report football, they created mythology around players who took buses to training and worked summers. Before Sky Sports sanitised everything, football belonged to communities, and magazines were our connection. Chalk ices achieved dominance through ubiquity rather than excellence, representing peak available ice cream technology. First Bite created genuine jeopardy. Would chocolate hold? Would it cascade onto clothing? Could you achieve perfect chocolate to ice cream ratios? Lions Made dominated, walls competed, corner shops sold mysterious versions affecting taste. Chocolate coating contained minimal cocoa, mainly vegetable fat and optimism. Ice cream was aerated to legal limits, but on rare hot days they were perfection. Ritual was precise, careful unwrapping preserving maximum chocolate, strategic first bite testing integrity, rapid consumption before melting. Prices varied. 5p corner shops, 8p from vans adding chime entertainment, outrageous 15p at swimming pools exploiting captive audiences. Social hierarchy was clear. Chalk ices were everyday. Cornettos represented aspiration. Zoom lollies showed poor taste. That distinctive crack became summer's soundtrack with disappointed cries when chocolate met pavement. Physics lessons came free. Thermodynamics, structural engineering, gravitational heartbreak. We learned that simple pleasures could bring joy, that imperfection added character, and that dropped chalk ices taught life's cruelty. Subbuteo transformed bedrooms into Wembleys through fingertip skill. Peter Adolph created it in 1947, wanting the hobby but unable to trademark it. 70s saw peak saturation. Every boy and discerning girls owned teams. Obsessive detail included hand-painted kits, faces optional, creating identical players distinguished by shirts. Setup required engineering degrees, never flat pitches, easily tangled goal nets, escape velocity ball bearings. Gameplay looked simple, flick player at ball, but executions separated casuals from fence flick masters. Rules caused more disputes than Monopoly, goalkeeper movement timing, obstruction versus positioning, offside implementation via cardboard strips creating parliamentary debates. Accessories drained pocket money, barely illuminating floodlights, terracing with identical spectators, stadium editions costing more than actual season tickets. Broken players rebuilt with Araldite, and matches resembled war veterans. BBC used Subbuteo for goal recreations, legitimising obsession. Modern FIFA misses tactile satisfaction of perfect swerve shots and the devastating crunch of stepping on star strikers. Subbuteo wasn't just a game, it was culture, creating memories through arguments, dedication, and the belief that painted plastic could capture football's soul. Scale Extric promised Monaco, delivered destruction derbies on linoleum. Fred Francis invented it, 1956, reaching peak popularity when Hunt and Sheen glamorized racing. Basic figure eights lasted one Christmas before expansion plans requiring council permission. Built-in injustice, inside lane advantages, taught life's unfairness early. Cars flew off corners with NASA-worthy trajectories while connections failed with British Leyland reliability. Maintenance was constant. Braids needed jeweler's precision, tyres required methylated spirits cleaning, motors burned out during unwanted endurance races. Ozone smell from overheating became racing's signature. Track oxidized faster than cut apples, requiring constant wiggling while sacrificing to electrical gods. Controllers ranged from basic resistors to professional versions costing more than driving lessons. Perfect moments justified everything. Both cars howling around layouts, finding precise paddock bend throttle control, rivals cars launching into cats. Catalogues promised classic circuits, reality was warped figure eights with furniture-seeking jumps. Yet imagination bridged expectation-reality gaps, teaching that dreams don't require perfect equipment, just dedication and acceptance that slot car racing was 90% maintenance, 10% actual racing. Stink bombs democratized chemical warfare for children with 5p and questionable judgment. Glass ampules containing ammonium sulfide created Geneva Convention-violating stenches. Made by Junior Joke Shop Supplies Limited, warnings required electron microscopes to read. Deployment demanded commitment. Crushing made you patient zero in olfactory pandemics. Strategic placement separated amateurs from artists. Radiators for slow-release torture. Ventilation systems for nuclear options. The smell, rotten eggs wetting sewage during heat waves, cleared Woolworths in seconds, lingering despite industrial cleaning. Teachers treated incidents like terrorism, evacuating buildings while caretakers arrived with bleach supplies for operating theatres. Successful deployment achieved folk hero status. Capture meant detention and letters mentioning antisocial behaviour. Some advanced to homemade versions using sulphur, discovering why laboratories need ventilation. Nobody questioned selling chemical weapons alongside sherbet dips. Arms races escalated until someone targeted the headmaster's office, generating strongly worded letters to joke shops maximising profits from miniature warfare. Stink bombs taught timing, strategy, and that sometimes chaos was worth consequences. Crabbing transformed children into marine biologists armed with bacon and optimism. Rituals began selecting bacon with sommelier dedication. Too lean meant crab rejection, too fatty meant disintegration. String came from kitchen drawers bearing Sunday roast traces. Harbourside positioning involved complex negotiations with other crabbers, tourists and amused fishermen. Hours passed staring at murky water containing shopping trolleys, bicycle frames, theoretically crabs. Line tightening created primordial excitement. Jaws or seaweed? Usually seaweed, occasionally 5-pence-sized crabs with attitude. Veterans developed scriptural theories. Fish heads outperformed bacon. High tide brought monsters. That legendary spot near steps. Buckets became gladiatorial arenas showcasing surprising crab climbing abilities and aggression. Nobody questioned futility, inedible catches, dying if taken home, released after hours anyway. Crabbing taught patience modern children lack. Nature operated independently, anticipation exceeded rewards, journeys mattered more than destinations. Real catches weren't crustaceans, but meditative states achieved dangling bacon into water, punctuated by excitement when anything bit. These lessons about patience, hope, and accepting that sometimes nothing happens shaped character better than any organised activity. Daisy chain construction was precision engineering disguised as idleness, requiring abundant bellis perennis and thumbnails. Technique passed through generations demanded perfection. Robust stem location, precise incisions, too high broke, too low weakened, threading with surgical steadiness. Unspoken competition existed. Sarah created playground circumnavigating chains while your 4-flower attempts crumbled, causing quiet devastation. July parks resembled flower battlefields, stripped by children seeking temporary glory materials. Gender was irrelevant. Everyone participated, boys claiming survival practice while making maternal offerings. 15-minute lifespans before wilting taught impermanence beautifully. Teachers missed points, incorporating chains into maths, if Jenny uses 20 daisies, while real education involved focus, motor control, accepting transience. Buddhist philosophy emerged without terminology, creating beauty for immediate decay, finding process joy over permanent products. Modern children, deprived by obsessive council mowing, miss patience lessons. The satisfying split when thumbnails found perfect stem spots, the concentration required threading without breaking, the brief glory wearing natural crowns. These simple pleasures taught more about life's temporary nature than any classroom philosophy lesson. Hopscotch represented playground democracy where chalk, stones and balance determined hierarchy. Courts drawn with stolen chalk ranged from basic squares to gymnastic requiring patterns. Stone selection required geological expertise. Optimal weight, texture preventing slides, pocket-fitting size among treasures. Regional variations caused disputes. Manchester allowed square 5 resting. Birmingham considered this exile-worthy cheating. Some schools permitted butterflies, others demanded strict hopping, while advanced players added boundary-pushing flourishes. Politics were Byzantine. Queue jumping sparked term-long vendettas. Foot-fault accusations required witnesses. Line-touching stones created high court-worthy jurisprudence. Elite players possessed signature stones. Polished pebbles in dedicated pouches treated reverentially. Playing surfaces added complexity. Rain-slick tarmac became ice ballet. Rough concrete grabbed stones and skin equally. Weather created challenges. Puddles required route adjustment, wind affected trajectories, frost made everything lethal. We played regardless, viewing scraped knees as honours, twisted ankles as occupational hazards. Hopscotch taught negotiation, precision, and early lessons about life's unfairness. Champions controlled prime courts like property magnates, while newcomers practiced on wonky, bin-adjacent efforts, dreaming of glory. There you have it. 17 things making 70s British childhood's adventures today's safety-conscious kids won't understand. We survived without helmets, consumed periodic table sweets, disappeared for days with parental blessing. Feral, free, convinced we lived in the best times, and maybe we did. If memories flooded back, hit subscribe harder than jammed phone box coin returns. Ring notifications like factory whistles. Share with anyone remembering real marathon bars. Comment your parent horrifying 70s memory. I'll heart the most shocking. Until next time, keep memories alive. We survived the 70s. We can survive anything.